I was just watching the Blue Nose. You know, she's one of the most famous sailing ships in the whole world. She's a schooner. That's an old kind of ship. Well, here, I've got a small one here. This is a schooner. They have 2 masts, 1, 2, and they hold the sails up like this. Blue Nose is only in the big harbor in the summer months. And she goes around the harbor and she shows people the sights. And then she kind of slips away to foreign shores. Kind of just drifts out of our minds. But she always comes back. Why, she is beautiful. You know, when Theodore first met Blue Nose, he couldn't bring himself to speak to her. There was something about her that just made him shy. Fodak didn't feel that way, though. And that is quite a story. It all started one day when our friends Theodore and Fodak were at the great ocean dock, and Blue Nose sailed past. "Isn't she beautiful?" said Theodore. "Oh, what use is an old sailing ship?" answered Fodak. Now, as I said, Fodak is much more impressed by new things. "Look at my brand new depth sounder, Theodore," he continued. "It tells me exactly how deep the water is. Now, that's something that's really useful." But Theodore couldn't stop looking at Blue Nose, cutting through the water. Ah, she was so slender, so quiet, so smooth. Later that afternoon, Theodore was passing Blue Nose's dock when the sailing ship said hello to him. Theodore stopped so quickly that he made a big swirl in the water. Well, that made them both laugh, and they got to talking about all kinds of things. Turned out that Blue Nose was lonely. "I always thought someone beautiful like you would have lots of friends," said Theodore. "No," replied Blue Nose. "Other ships don't seem to want to talk to me. Maybe it's because I'm different. Or maybe because I'm old. Years ago, before the motor ships came along, there were many, many sailing ships here in the big harbor. But now I'm the only one left," she said sadly. Well, Blue Nose and Theodore got to be friends. Theodore liked to ask her what it was like to sail. He could hardly imagine being able to move without the deep drumming sound of his engine. "Oh, I'd rather use my sails," said Blue Nose with a smile in her voice. "You just lean over with the wind and it pushes you along." "My friend Fodak doesn't think old sails are any good," said Theodore. Now, Blue Nose thought that was funny. "As long as you've got sails," she said, "you can always get somewhere. The wind will blow sooner or later." Then Theodore decided he would see if he was faster than Blue Nose. "1, 2, 3, make way for me," shouted Theodore, and he scooted by Blue Nose. Just then the wind puffed up just a little bit, and Blue Nose suddenly pulled away from Theodore so fast it made him look like he was standing still. The sailing ship went gliding down the harbor and then turned into the wind with all her sails shaking and sailed back up to Theodore. "Wow!" exclaimed Theodore. "Are you ever fast?" Blue Nose smiled. "Don't forget, once I was the fastest ship on the ocean." A few days later, Blue Nose had been hauled out of the water for repairs. The dispatcher sent Theodore to tow Blue Nose back into the water because he knew they'd become friends. "Hello," called Theodore, but he could see that Blue Nose was upset. "What's the matter?" he asked. "They gave me a new radio," said Blue Nose. "It's supposed to let me send or hear messages from anywhere. So now you're like a brand new modern ship," said Theodore, trying to make Blue Nose feel better. But Blue Nose wasn't happy. "We old ships don't need these new things. I was sailing on the high seas before these kinds of radios were even thought of," she said. Then Theodore noticed a big red shape underneath Blue Nose's black hull. "Hey, there's more of you under the water than on top of it," he said. Is that something new too?" Blue Nose laughed. "No," she replied. "That's as old as I am. The red shape is the secret of sailing." "Help me back into the water, Theodore," said Blue Nose, "and I'll show you how it works." It was a warm, sunny afternoon in the big harbor. The kind of afternoon when new friends like to share secrets. "Pretend you're the wind, Theodore," said Blue Nose softly, "and I'll show you the secret of sailing. Push my side like you are a powerful wind from the open sea." So Theodore carefully put his front bumpers right against Blue Nose's side and pushed really hard. But instead of moving sideways, Blue Nose slid straight ahead. Well, Theodore was very surprised. "It's the same with the wind, said Blue Nose. Even if the wind blows against my side, that red shape that's under the water makes me move straight ahead. I wish I could sail like that, said Theodore. It looks like so much fun. Oh, when the wind is your friend, you probably could a little, answered Blue Nose. And then she scooted ahead with the warm summer breeze. Theodore! Hey, Theodore! Theodore could tell Foda was excited about something. See what I found with my new depth sounder? He said. Theodore noticed the big green and yellow striped cloth on Fodak's deck. It was under the water over in Cobblequid Cove. Isn't it great? Theodore nodded. Fodak's new machine could certainly find wonderful things. Come on, Theodore, said Fodak. I'm going to see what else I can find with this new machine. Come with me. Thank you, Fodak, said Theodore, staring back at Blue Nose. He could still see her sails dancing with the wind. I think I'll stay here for a while, he said quietly. Well, the next time Theodore saw Blue Nose, she seemed to be very sad. My new radio makes too much noise, she said to Theodore. Sailing ships are supposed to be as silent as a sea breeze, continued Blue Nose. But with this new radio, I sound like a big storm. You don't have to turn your radio up all the way, said Theodore. Only if you're far away from who you want to talk to. Come on, I'll help you practice. You go over there, he said, and I'll go this way. Can you hear me? Theodore said over his radio. Hello, Theodore, Blue Nose radioed back. I hear you. You don't need to shout to be heard, said Theodore. That's what the radio is for. Theodore went farther away and used his radio again. Can you hear me now? Loud and clear, Blue Nose said into her radio. That's it, Blue Nose, said Theodore. Now I'll go really far away until we can't see each other. We'll still be able to talk. Theodore disappeared behind Willie's Island. Calling Blue Nose on the radio. I hear you, Theodore, Blue Nose answered back. Now, at just around the same time, Fodak was floating along the shoreline using his brand new depth sounder to measure how deep the water was. 6 fathoms, 5 fathoms, 4, counted Fodak as he circled closer and closer into shore. All of a sudden, he felt something tugging at him from behind, sort of slowing him down. The next thing he knew, he was stopped. The seaweed in the shallow water near the shore had wrapped itself around his propeller, and now he couldn't move anymore. Then he saw Theodore floating towards him. Good old Theodore. But he realized that Theodore would also get stuck if he came too close. Stop, Theodore, Fodak cried. The water's full of weeds. You'll get your propeller tangled like mine. Theodore stopped short. He wanted to help, but he didn't want to get stuck too. However, Fodak did look miserable. Theodore thought and thought about how to get Fodak free. He looked around the harbor. The wind was blowing hard, and that gave Theodore an idea. Maybe he could sail out, he called. Fodak looked puzzled. Sail, he said. Theodore, you know I can't sail. You can use that old green and yellow striped cloth you found, said Theodore. Well, Fodak looked unsure. I guess I could try. Fodak raised that old cloth right up his radar mast, just like a sail. And do you know what? The wind began to push. I'm moving, shouted Fodak. It's working! Fodak, watch where you're going, called Theodore. The wind was blowing Fodak all right, straight toward the rocky shore. Without his propeller, Fodak couldn't stop or turn. Oh, soon he was sure to crash. Was there one ship in the harbor who was fast enough to help stop the runaway tugboat? There was one, thought Theodore. Blue Nose. Blue Nose heard a call over her radio. It was Theodore, and he was calling for help. By now, Fodak was almost at the shore. Suddenly, there was the sound of great sails flapping in the wind. Theodore watched Blue Nose as she raced towards Fodak. Would she get there in time? Blue Nose sailed in a graceful arc and came right alongside Fodak. Turn your sail the other way, she called. Fodak turned his sail the other way, just like Blue Nose had suggested. And soon, the wind did the rest. Now it was pushing him away from the shore, and just in time. Hooray! Shouted Theodore. Hooray! Shouted Blue Nose. Hooray! Shouted Fodak. Thank you for saving me, Fodak said to Blue Nose. But how did you know I was in trouble? I heard Theodore call for help over my new radio, replied Blue Nose. You know, I guess new things are good for something after all. You know, said Fodak as the wind pushed him along beside Blue Nose, old things are kind of good too. Can you show me more about sailing the old way? Sure, replied Blue Nose. Can you show me more about using my new radio? Fodak gave Blue Nose a hearty toot-toot with his horn. Sure he would. And Blue Nose rang her bell to Fodak. Theodore gave his own happy toot-toot as he watched his two friends sail on past. He knew they would both have many, many things to show each other, old and new. You know, there really is no lovelier sight in the big harbor than see the Blue Nose sailing along. I'm glad we have her. You know what? Fodak is too. It seems like the old and the new can help each other more than they thought. Yes, Blue Nose is an old ship from days gone by. Long, long ago when folks put to sea with nothing but a sail and the wind to blow them along. Nowadays, though, ships and boats have engines. And for them, that's a good thing.